For the English cricketer, see Frederic Walker, Captain Frederic John Walker CB, DSO and AMP. 3 was a Royal Navy officer noted for his exploits during World War II. Walker was the most successful anti-submarine warfare commander during the Battle of the Atlantic and was known more popularly as Johnnie Walker. Early life and career. Walker was born in Plymouth, the son of Frederic Murray and Lucy Selina Walker. He joined the Royal Navy as a cadet in 1909 and was educated at the Royal Naval Colleges at Osborne and Dartmouth, where he excelled, first serving on the battleship Ajax as a midshipman. Walker, as a sub-lieutenant, went on to join the destroyers Mermaid and Sopton in 1916 and 1917 respectively. Following the end of the First World War, Walker joined the Queen Elizabeth-class battleship Valiant. He married Jessica Eileen Ryder Stobart, with whom he had 3 sons and a daughter. Interwar period, 1920s–1930s. During the interwar period, Walker partook in the particularly unglamorous, unfashionable field of anti-submarine warfare. He took a course at the newly founded anti-submarine training school of HMS Osprey, Portland, which was established in 1924. Walker consequently became an expert in this particular type of warfare, and was appointed to a post specializing in this field, serving on a number of capital ships. In May 1933, he was promoted to commander and took charge of the First World War destroyer Shikari. In December 1933, Walker took command of the Shoreham-class sloop Falmouth based on the China Station. In April 1937, Walker became the experimental commander at HMS Osprey. World War II. When the Second World War began, in 1939, Walker's career seemed at an end. Still a commander, he had been ignored for promotion to captain and indeed had been scheduled for early retirement. He gained a reprieve, however, due to the commencement of war, and in 1940 was appointed as Operations Staff Officer to Vice Admiral Sir Bertram Ramsay. Even so, Walker still had not been given a command, despite expertise in anti-submarine warfare that would no doubt be indispensable in the Battle of the Atlantic. During Walker's time in that role, the legendary Dunkirk Evacuations took place, in which the British Expeditionary Force was evacuated from France. The evacuation was an immense success, with over 330,000 British and French troops being taken to the United Kingdom. He was mentioned in dispatches for his work during the evacuation. Walker finally received a command in October 1941, taking control of the 36th Escort Group, commanding from the Bittern-class sloop Stork. The escort group comprised 2 sloops and 6 corvettes and was based in Liverpool, home of Western Approaches Command. Initially, his group was primarily used to escort convoys to and from Gibraltar. His first chance to test his innovative methods against the U-boat menace came in December, when his group escorted convoy HG-76. During the journey, 5 U-boats were sunk, 4 by Walker's group, including U-574, which was depth-charged and rammed by Walker's own ship on the 19th of December. The RN's loss during the battle for HG-76 was 1 escort carrier, 1 destroyer and 2 merchant ships. This is sometimes described as the first true Allied convoy victory in the Battle of the Atlantic. He was given the Distinguished Service Order on 6 January 1942 for daring, skill and determination while escorting to this country a valuable convoy in the face of relentless attacks from the enemy, during which 3 of the submarines were sunk and 2 aircraft destroyed by our forces. Walker's group succeeded in sinking at least 3 more U-boats during his tenure as commander of the 36th Group. He was awarded the first bat to his DSO in July 1942. In 1942, Walker left the 36th Group and became Captain Liverpool, granting him some time to recuperate. He finally returned to a ship command when he became commander of the 2nd Support Group in 1943, consisting of 6 sloops. Walker led from Starling, a newly commissioned Black Swan-class sloop. The group was intended to act as reinforcement to convoys under attack, with the capacity to actively hunt and destroy U-boats, rather than be restricted to escorting convoys. Walker had suggested the innovative idea to Commander-in-Chief Western Approaches Command Sir Max Houghton. The combination of an active hunting group and a charismatic, determined and innovative anti-submarine specialist such as Walker proved to be a potent force. One eccentric aspect of his charismatic nature was the playing of the tune "A Hunting We Will Go" over the ship's tannoy when returning to the base. In June 1943, Walker's own ship Starling was responsible for the sinking of 2 U-boats. The first, U-202, was destroyed on the 2nd of June by depth charges and gunfire, and the other, U-119, on the 24th of June by depth charges and ramming. Another U-boat, U-449, was sunk by his group on the same day. One highly successful tactic employed by Walker was the creeping attack, where 2 ships would work together to keep contact with a U-boat whilst attacking. The refinement of this was the barrage attack, which had 3 or more sloops in line to launch depth charges to saturate the area with depth charges in a manner similar to a rolling barrage by artillery in advance of an infantry attack. On the 30th of July, Walker's group encountered a group of 3 U-boats on the surface while in the Bay of Biscay. He signaled the general chase to his group and fired at them, causing damage that prevented them from diving. 2 of the submarines, U-462, a Type 14, and U-504, a Type 9, C-40, were then sunk by Walker's group, and the second Type 14, U-461, by an Australian short Sunderland flying boat. Upon his return to Liverpool, Walker was informed that his son, Timothy, had been killed when the submarine HMS Parthian had been lost in early August 1943 in the Mediterranean. On the 14th of September 1943, he was appointed a companion of the Bath for leadership and daring in command of HMS Starling in successful actions against enemy submarines in the Atlantic. On the 6th of November 1943, Walker's group sank U-226 and U-842. In early 1944, Walker's group displayed their efficiency against U-boats by sinking 6 in one patrol. On the 31st of January 1944, Walker's group gained the first kill of the year when they sank U-592. On the 9th of February, his group sank U-762, U-238, and U-734 in one action, then sank U-424 on the 11th of February, and U-264 on the 19th of February. On the 20th of February 1944, one of Walker's group, HMS Woodpecker, was torpedoed and sank 7 days later while being towed home. All of her crew were saved. They returned to the base at Liverpool to the thrilled jubilation of the city's inhabitants and the Admiralty. The First Lord of the Admiralty was present to greet Walker and his ships. Walker was promoted to captain and awarded a second bar to his DSO. In March, Walker's group provided the escort for the American cruiser Milwaukee, which was on its way to Russia as part of the Lend-Lease program. Walker's group sank 2 U-boats on the outward trip and a third on the return trip. Walker's last duty was protecting the fleet from U-boats during D-Day, the immense Allied invasion of France. This he did successfully for 2 weeks. No U-boats managed to get past Walker, and his vessels, and many were sunk or damaged in the process. During this concerted effort, Walker's dedication to his tasks was tremendous. He took no respite from his duties, which ultimately contributed to his death. He was awarded the third bar to his DSO on the 13th of June 1944, and was again mentioned in dispatches on the 20th of June 1944. Death. Walker suffered a cerebral thrombosis on the 7th of July 1944 and died 2 days later at the Naval Hospital at Seaforth, Merseyside, aged 48. His death was attributed to overwork and exhaustion. His funeral service took place at the Liverpool Anglican Cathedral with full naval honours and attended by about 1,000 people. The scene was emotional as the naval procession followed, travelling through the streets of Liverpool to the docks where he embarked aboard destroyer Hesperus for his final journey to be buried at sea. A further honour was a mention in dispatches on the 1st of August 1944. As Walker's group had already sailed, the sailors who undertook the procession and funeral and burial at sea were mostly Canadian. Legacy. Walker sank more U-boats during the Battle of the Atlantic than any other British or Allied commander and was instrumental in the Allied victory of the Battle of the Atlantic, one of the most important campaigns of the war. In 1998, a statue by Liverpool sculptor Tom Murphy of Captain Johnnie Walker in a typical pose was unveiled at the pierhead in Liverpool by HRH the Duke of Edinburgh. The campaign for the statue had been launched by the Captain Walker's Old Boys Association. Members of the association met in Liverpool during the 60th anniversary of the victory of the Battle of the Atlantic in 2003 to commemorate their comrades. Johnnie Walker's grandson, Patrick Walker, continues the Walker Association with the Royal Navy. He is also a submariner and has achieved the rank of captain of the 1st Submarine Squadron. He is also president of the Captain Walker's Old Boys Association, dedicated to Captain Walker and the men who served with him. The association disbanded in 2004 as many of the members were now too old to attend. The standard is now on display in Bootle Town Hall along with many memorabilia of Walker's ships. Starling's bell is rung to commence each council meeting. Walker was to be promoted to admiral, given a fleet and sent to the Pacific. Honours and awards. The 16th of August 1940 mentioned in dispatches. Commander Frederic John Walker, Royal Navy. The 6th of January 1942 to be a Companion of the Distinguished Service Order. Commander Frederic John Walker, Royal Navy, HMS Stork. For daring, skill and determination while escorting to this country a valuable convoy in the face of relentless attacks from the enemy, during which 3 of the submarines were sunk and 2 aircraft destroyed by our forces. The 30th of July 1942 bar to the Distinguished Service Order, to Captain Frederic John Walker DSO, Royal Navy, for leadership and skill in action against enemy submarines while serving in H.M. ships Stork and Vetch. 2nd DSO awarded as a Balfour on the ribbon of the 1st DSO. The 14th of September 1943 Companion of the Order of the Bath to Captain Frederic John Walker DSO, Royal Navy, for leadership and daring in command of H.M.S. Starling in successful actions against enemy submarines in the Atlantic. The 22nd of February 1944 2nd Bat to the Distinguished Service Order, Captain Frederic John Walker CB DSO, Royal Navy. For gallant and distinguished services in the destruction of 2 U-boats while serving in H.M. ships Starling, Kite, Wild Goose and Woodcock, patrolling in the North Atlantic. The 13th of June 1944 3rd Bat to the Distinguished Service Order, Captain Frederic John Walker CB DSO, Royal Navy. For outstanding leadership, skill and determination in H.M. ships Starling, Wild Goose, Kite, Woodpecker and Magpie in the destruction of 6 U-boats in the course of operations covering the passage of convoys in the North Atlantic. The 20th of June 1944 mentioned in dispatches. Captain Frederic John Walker CBDS Royal Navy. For outstanding leadership, skill and devotion to duty in H.M. ships Starling, Wild Goose and Wanderer on convoy escort duty in the North Atlantic. The 14th of August 1944 mentioned in dispatches. Captain Frederic John Walker CBDS Royal Navy.